UFC announced that Bellator Bantamweight champion Patchy is going to be coming over to the UFC promotion, making his debut on June 7th against Mario Bautista. They announced this about 10 days ago. I'll be honest with you, I am a UFC fucking ball rider, if that's what you want to call it. I don't really pay attention to like one championship or Bellator. Obviously, with like the big names, you kind of see their highlights pop up on Twitter and on the internet, so you see these guys, but I've never really sat down and watched an actual Patchy Mix fight. So I figured I'd record just a kind of a live reaction, me watching his last fight against Sergio Pettis for the Bellator Championship. So we'll get right into it and just see what Patchy Mix is all about. He's 20-1 and is on a huge win streak. I mean, to do that in the bantamweight division, pretty crazy. Obviously, he's doing it in Bellator, so it's not like he's been doing it in the UFC. The bantamweight top 15 in the UFC is fucking killer's row. So coming out southpaw. It's a great matchup, honestly, if we're being real. But are we going to see the same thing that just happened to Patricio Pitbull? Are we going to see the same thing happen? I think Patchy Mix is a little bit of a different story. Pitbull is a little older, but are we going to see the same thing where, Pitbull is touted as this dominant champion in Bellator, then he comes over to the UFC and gets absolutely exposed and looks like he doesn't even belong? So curious to see if that's what happens here with the Patchy Mix fight with Mario Bautista. A lot of people are a little pissed off about Mario's last fight against Jose Aldo because he did a lot of wrestling and it was a little boring. But Mario Bautista usually puts on a very fun, high-paced fight. And from what I've seen already, it looks like Patchy is pretty well-rounded. See that takedown again. Gorgeous. Just working Pettis up against the fence, taking away his angles. Throws a high kick, comes in. It was kind of a high kick like knee almost. Disguises his shot right up against the fence, connects his hands and dumps him right in the middle of the octagon. Over by his corner. Now, question is he gonna be another boring fighter and body head, or is he gonna try and inflict some real damage here on the ground now that he's got Pettis on his back? Not really trying to posture up. Seems like he's pretty content staying in Pettis' guard, which I'm not a huge fan of. I want to see, when I see someone take another fighter down, I don't want to, like, if you're actively trying to pass, then great. But if you're just sitting in someone's guard like this, body, head, the occasional elbow. Like, I'm sorry. I know you want to win the fight, and like that's the smart thing to do. Like, if you're trying to get control time, but if you're really trying to get someone out of there, like, posture the fuck up and rain down some blows. Now he's actively trying to pass here. He's more focused on passing than damage. Just got a nice pass. That was clean. He's kind of camping out in like the headquarters position here, being super heavy on his hips. And you can see he takes this right leg and tries to peel off this butterfly, which he doesn't really do, but he effectively switches his hips and gets past the guard. So now that he's past the guard, let's see what he's about. Usually when you see someone go this route and they're not very concerned with like a lot of ground and pound, they're probably hunting us up 99% of the time. But, you know, Sergio regained his guard. He's got butterflies in. Patchy isn't really threatening anything. I don't really understand why Sergio isn't using that foot in the hip to create any space. He's just he's trying to elevate the hips. And like, when you're up against the fence like that, it's going to be super hard to sweep your opponent over your head because you've got the fucking fence right there. Some short shoulder strikes. Again, nothing like super damaging here. It's just relentless pressure between trying to pass, body, head. But he's got Pettis in a rough spot up against the cage. But again, I would love to see like a knee on belly here. Like try to advance the position. You're just kind of sitting in side control, not really doing much. Sergio's really not doing what he needs to do to get out of this position. No frames. He's kind of hugging Patchy, keeping him close, keeping his posture broken down. But again, like, you know, Patchy is not really doing much to advance the position here. I don't think that he's going to be able to do that against Mario Bautista. Mario Bautista is a little bit scrappier, in my opinion, than Sergio. And if Patchy tries to just sit in like a side control like that, Mario is probably going to regain his guard. And Mario is very good at scrambles and creating space when he's wrestling. So, ooh, he's tagged up a little bit there. Let's run that back. So he just timed it over the jab. Just went right over the jab of Patchy. And I'm not saying that Patchy isn't. Isn't skilled. He's 20-1. He's obviously very, very skilled and a reigning champ in Bellator. But is it going to translate in the UFC? Do you see that right here? Sergio almost wrapped up that ninja choke like John Silva. Right there. But you can tell that Patchy's doing a good job of burying his head deep towards that hip. And he pretty much has to abandon it immediately. And gives up the double leg. That's the thing, is if you're up against the fence like that and you're getting a takedown shot on you, a lot of times if you go for a submission, your defense is taken out of the equation. His legs are free here, free game. He's not pummeling for underhooks, nothing. So if you're gonna shoot against a guy like a submission against a guy like Patchy Mix when he's pretty much got his hands already connected behind your knees, like, you're gonna take a ride 9 times out of 10. Really slick right there. Really slick. Pettis is doing a good job of defending the hook. that second hook, keeping him pinned up against the fence. So Patchy just says, fuck it, and kicks off the fence, creates that space. He's able to get like this kind of half quarter guard here and off the back. Finally gets that second hook. And he's got lanky legs too. Like, he's going to have no problem wrapping up a body triangle on any bantamweight in the UFC. And you can tell, right? Like, this is where he wanted to be. That first round when he took Pettis down, there was no immediate rush to get damage inflicted. It looks like he's been wanting to pass the guard and get to where he is at now. And that's pretty much a GG's here. He could probably... Yeah, go ahead and go to sleep. Yeah. He honestly probably could have... If Patchy would have kept his head and like ear to ear with Pettis, he might have been able to finish that with one arm. The only reason that he had to actually like use that second arm to lock in the rear naked is because right here Sergio turns into him and almost goes like belly down a little bit right there. And so then Patchy has to slip in the hand behind and finish the choke. But I don't know, he looks pretty good. He looks pretty good. Is he going to be enough to beat Mario Bautista? I don't know. Don't know. But he's 20-1, 13 subs. Again, like just like we just saw, he gets Pettis down to the ground and is in absolutely no rush to do any damage. No damage. A lot of pressure. You could tell his main goal was to pass his guard and smash and take any submission that presents itself. Mario Bautista, again, I think Mario Bautista is probably a little scrappier than Pettis. But, I mean, his confidence has got to be through the roof. And we're not going to get, I don't think we're going to get a decision here. I really don't. And Mario Bautista is the underdog. I'd have to look back and see if Patricio was the underdog in his UFC debut. Because it's so weird to me. Like, you got a cat like Mario Bautista. How many fights has he had in the UFC? Like 10? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. So this guy's 11 fights in the UFC. He's had some pretty like high profile fights on big pay-per-views. Last fight against Jose Aldo, like I said, a lot of people did not like that decision win. And it did not greatly affect Bautista's stock in a positive way. But you got Bautista, who's got a wealth of experience inside the UFC octagon, and then a guy that's coming in on a big fucking pay-per-view, like UFC 318, I think, 316. Like, this is a big card, and he's going against a very game opponent in Mario Bautista. This I think is going to be like a very, I don't want to call it commonplace, but now that everything with Bellator and PFL is kind of going on, I think we're going to see this a little more often, where the UFC is starting to bring over these Bellator champs. But I think that the UFC learned their lesson with Pitbull, is that you're not going to take a champion from Bellator and bring him right over and feed him to someone in the top 5. Like, what is Mario? Is he 13? What rank is he? Why doesn't it show? Why doesn't it show the rankings there? So he's number 10. So if Patchy comes in and beats him, he's going to be in the top 10, right? But I think that the UFC learned their lesson when they put Pitbull in there. And they said, oh, well, just because they're a champion in Bellator doesn't mean shit when they come over to the UFC. So I'm glad that they didn't, match Patchy up with anyone higher up in the top 10 than Mario. But here's the thing. Patchy is going to have the obvious, I would say pretty obvious, advantage when it goes to the ground. But Mario Bautista is not a slouch. He's got 6 subs. He's only been subbed once, which was that in the UFC? It was by Corey Sandhagen, who Corey Sandhagen has very underrated jiu-jitsu and submission skills. He just beats the shit out of people and really never has to use it. But if this fight stays on the ground, I could see Mario tagging Patchy up. Just from what I saw, keep in mind, this fight that we just watched together, that's the first fight that I've ever seen Patchy. I've never seen any of his shit before. So based on the striking that I saw, Mario's got an advantage in the stand-up, and I think that Patchy's got quite the advantage on the ground. I don't know if he's going to be able to sub Bautista. Like I said, Bautista's a little bit of a scrappier guy than Sergio Pettis. I think he's going to be able to create more wrestling scrambles when Patchy does take him down. I think he is going to take him down quite a bit, especially if Patchy can back him up against the fence like he did Sergio. He's going to have a pretty good shot of getting in on a double. But the big story, I think, in this fight is going to be whether or not Mario Bautista has the ability to stuff those takedowns. And if he doesn't stuff those takedowns, can he get up? If he can't get up, I could see Patchy potentially working his way to another rear naked choke submission, or just having a lot of control time. I see this going one of two ways. I see Mario Bautista being submitted via rear naked choke, or a decision by Bautista. That's my early predictions. We'll make more of an official prediction once we get closer to the fight. But super exciting stuff that they're continuing to bring over Bellator guys that they're high caliber to test them over in the UFC. We'll see how Patchy does. Track record for Bellator guys coming over and doing well is not off to a hot start. So we'll see if Patchy can turn things around and get the Bellator guys in the win column. But very interesting matchmaking. Some good news from the UFC. Be a very exciting scrap. But let me know your thoughts below. Who you think is going to take the dub home? And we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.